friends. Are you ready? Welcome to another edition of Gudday Grenada. It's the Wednesday edition. I'm George Grant, and today happens to be the 12th day of February. Kind of so-so morning here. It's not raining heavily, but we've had some light showers off and on. And it's going to be an interesting day for the cruise ship passengers. We got 3 cruise ships in here. The Aida Perla, which is a biggie, and she's tied up down at the Melville Street Cruise Terminal. And then we do have 2 smaller ships in here this morning as well. Didn't remember to grab their names, but one is tied up with the Perla down at Melville Street, and the other is down at Burns Point. So that's it. Well, folks, let's see what we're going to get into over the next hour or so on today's edition of Gudday Grenada. 100 years old and peddling like nobody's business. And when you watch this, you'll see that there's a lesson to be learned by us all. She's an elderly lady in Trinidad, 101. In local parlance, she's kicking butt. See this lady pedaling and, kind of jogging and stuff like that. 101. First of all, I don't know if I want to live to be 101 years old. You know, the way things are going in the world today, sooner I could hightail it out of here, the better. However, I'm sure that there are some of you who would love to live to be 200 years old. We'll take a look at that video in just a wee bit, and you can let me have your thoughts about it. The second thing we're going to look at this morning is dispelling the negative images of Africa. Thank God for social media, boy. I'll tell you, our eyes are being opened to a lot of stuff. And you'll see that most of the images that you've been brought up with throughout your lives are only one side of the story, just one side of the story. Find out a bit more in just a little bit. Then we are going to continue with our series as we continue paying homage to Black History Month. Another piece today from a friend and pilgrim out there in the Big Apple, Margaret Francis. Today, in her little series, she takes, the series is titled, by the way, Black Makers of History. Well, today you're going to see a black maker of history by the name of Valerie Rodway, who, by the way, happens to be Guyanese, just down the street there in the neighborhood. Then, yes, we do have the national report for you this morning. And yes, I know that on Wednesday, a lot of you are looking forward to seeing Sharon. Well, Sharon is not going to be in today. However, Ray is going to be in. And that's because they did a little bit of a switch yesterday. Okay? So Sharon's going to be in. And not Sharon, I beg your pardon. Ray is going to be in just a little bit, Hang in there. So, now that we've gotten the preliminaries out of the way, let us settle down. Itchy eyes. Corona? I don't know. I'm just kidding. Okay, it's not the coronavirus. Remember, you guys kept on reminding me, don't touch your face. Don't touch your face. Okay? All right, so let's get down to business this morning as our time slips on now to 4 minutes after the hour. For most of us, keeping fit can be a chore. Come on, let's admit that, okay? No fun. But believe it or not, for many, it can be a lot of fun and has in many cases become a way of life. It's also quite beneficial to us. This morning, you're about to meet a 101-year-old young, 101 years young Trinidadian who will pedal past you in a heartbeat. She's also kind enough to share with us the secrets of her longevity. Check this out.
Meet Naomi Rogers, the 101-year-old super granny, to those who know her, where she works out at the Duro Body Gym. While some of us younger folk may make excuses about keeping healthy, for Miss Rogers, that excuse does not exist where her health is concerned, even long after retirement.
They say from time immemorial, I always tried my best to keep on the healthy side. And to do that, you have to be, pay much attention to the things you eat, your rest, and exercise. Those contribute to good health. And I engage in those things since I was a girl.
For this warrior, being able to make it to the gym is surprising even for her, but it's something she enjoys. While she had this message for Trinidad and Tobago.
Nourish your body well. Get enough rest, because those are the things that are necessary. Good food, rest, exercise. The resting, part of the resting is sleeping, adequate amount of sleep, because that repairs what you used up the day before. And that's all.
For her grandson Gabri, the trainer, this is the reason his grandmother is a true definition of a survivor.
What I did notice when she suffered her stroke in 2012 is that it was really her mind and her being able to will herself to not just lie down on the bed and do nothing, not to be dependent on anybody for her survival. And at 93 years old as she was, it would have been a matter of about 6 weeks to 2 months that she would have gone from not being able to use her left side to being able to at least move around the house.
The term super granny certainly fits, as does the phrase, age is just a number. Kent Fuentes, TTT Sports.
Wow, thank you, Ken. Wow, 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 wow. Don't you have a great admiration for that lady? Wow, wow, wow. Okay, now, let's start saying good morning. Bernard Gilbert wins the race this morning. Congratulations, Mr. Gilbert. Keep it up, sir. Keep it up. John Franco is also saying good morning. So is Anthea Rollo, Sean, no tap, hello, Sean. Michelle Forsyth, Kipling Francis, Benedict Cador. Yeah, Benedict, you and your wonderful Wednesday. Lydia James is also checking in this morning. T.F. Richards is in Arkansas today. Can't keep up with this guy. Margaret Francis is saying good morning. Hi, Max. And Michelle Forsyth says, seems like the other two ships are the Club Med and the Sea Dam. Not sure who you're responding to, Michelle, but my gosh, Eddie Bullitt. Hello there, Eddie. Hello there, Eddie. Becoming interested in current affairs in Grenada, eh? Huh? Raj Bonds also checked in. He's saying good morning. By the way, Margaret says, when I grow up, I want to be just like her. Love her hair. Yes, Mags. You know, I thought about you, Mags, when you were a Trini, right? I thought about you when I heard her talk about the importance of food, you know, the food you eat. I wondered if you were her chef. Couldn't help but wonder. So, Anthony the Ritz is also there, and Shireen Phillip. All right, folks, now that we said good morning to the initial group, let's get down to our second story. And this one's serious. Many of us have fallen victim to the negative images of Africa, which are portrayed by the Western media. Poverty, filth, disease, corruption, all of those things, and a whole lot more. Dangerous animals. But thanks to social media, those images are changing for the better. In the past year or so, I have discovered a cadre of youngsters who, armed with their smartphones and GoPros, are opening up the eyes of the world to the realities we have been deprived of and the deception which we have routinely been fed. Let's meet one such youngster, a kid by the name of Drew Binsky. Check this out.
When many people think about Africa, they think about poverty. Especially those of us from the Western world, it's often the first image that comes to mind. It's certainly what I thought for the first 26 years of my life until I first stepped foot on the continent a few years ago. And now, after visiting 53 of the 54 countries in Africa, I can say with complete confidence that it's home to the most diverse sights, the most breathtaking views, the most beautiful souls, and the most unbelievable experiences that you can't find anywhere else on this earth. Okay, so we're in Kigali and I just ran into a bunch of homies. Africa is the origin of mankind, home to about 2,000 spoken languages. The different cultures here are astounding. Kiddo! For example, South Sudan is home to the world's tallest tribe called the Dinkas, while the neighboring country of Central African Republic has the world's shortest tribe called the Pygmies. Let me say that once again. The world's tallest humans are living directly across the border from the world's shortest humans. Many African cities like Nairobi, Kigali, and Johannesburg are shockingly modern with all the amenities that you can find in New York City or London. Some of the best nightlife scenes I've witnessed were on the beaches of Lagos, Nigeria, and on the streets of Marrakesh, Morocco. When it comes to cleanliness, Rwanda's capital of Kigali is as clean, if not cleaner, than Singapore. The country of Somalia has some of the most picturesque beaches I've seen anywhere in this world. The same goes for Tanzania.
Welcome to Zanzibar!
And while we're on the subject of nature, Africa is covered in vast deserts, tropical rainforests, beautiful lakes, tall mountains, fertile grasslands, and other landscapes that you never even knew existed. My favorite moments in the wild have been hiking Mount Nyiragongo in the DR Congo.
The lava just illuminates the sky behind me.
Driving across the sand dunes of Namibia and going on a safari in Botswana, where I saw rhino, lion, giraffe, elephant, and hippo right in front of my eyes. Africa is where I've learned the most about religion, from the Muslim-dominated northern region to the Christian-dominated central and southern parts. Don't forget about the traditional religions like Voodooism and West Africa.
Voodoo is the African religion, the first one.
And lastly, we should appreciate Africa because it's home to many of the world's most important inventions. Like mathematics. The oldest known mathematical object is the Lebombo bone, dating back to 35,000 BC, which was discovered in the mountains of Swaziland. Swaziland. Like medicine, many treatments that we use today in modern medicine have been derived from Africa ages ago. The earliest known surgery was performed in Egypt around 2750 BC. Like law and religion, the ancient Ethiopians were the first to honor their gods, offer sacrifices, and establish a system of organized law. Like speech, evidence suggests that language probably emerged somewhere in sub-Saharan Africa during the Middle Stone Age, hence the first words ever spoken by humans were from Africans.
Hello, my name is Kolane. I just came back to visit Nomqebo, Besikoka about life.
Yes, poverty exists, just like crime and corruption, but these three things exist in every country in the world, including mine and yours. The vast majority of African nations are quickly improving their economies, their politics, and their state of life. The past decade has seen an enormous number of mega corporations emerging onto the continent. Take Luanda, Angola, for example. 10 years ago, there was barely any skyline, and now it looks like this. Moreover, 6 of the top 10 fastest growing economies in the world are in Africa, with number 1 being Ethiopia. All in all, I find Africa to be extremely underrated, and it doesn't get the credit that it deserves. If you've been before, then you probably know what I'm talking about, and if you've yet to go, then I urge you to give it a try. There's something magical that just draws me into Africa, and I know for a fact that I'll always be going back to see more.
Okie dokie, pilgrims, did you learn something there this morning about Africa? I certainly hope that you did. All right. Now, our final introductory segment this morning. Today, we're going to head south to Guyana to meet another black maker of history. Margaret Francis, our producer, provides us with an introduction to Valerie Rodway. Who is Valerie Rodway? Well, she's a Guyanese composer and cultural icon. Let's say good morning. Hello, where's Valerie? Yeah? Okay, there's Valerie.
Celebrating Black Makers of History.
Today's Black Maker of History is Valerie Rodway. Valerie Rodway was a celebrated Guyanese music composer who is best known for many of Guyana's national songs such as O Beautiful Guyana, Hymn for Guyana's Children, and Guyana the Free. Born in 1919 in New Amsterdam, a town in the Berbice region of Guyana, Rodway's talent was evident from early childhood. A young Valerie often wandered to the neighbor's house to tinkle the keys of the piano or made music with the Venetian blinds at home. She became one of Guyana's most famous composers of classical and patriotic music. Rodway was an accomplished jazz pianist who also enjoyed jam sessions with the likes of Robert Frank and Iggy Quayle. Her music celebrated Guyana's natural beauty, its waterfalls, rivers, flora, fauna, and its Amerindian heritage. She also set music to the poems of many of Guyana's finest poets. For her contributions to Guyanese culture, Rodway received the Cacique Crown of Honor. In February 2019, on the 100th anniversary of her birth, Guyana unveiled a commemorative stamp and a book on Rodway's life. The Valerie Rodway House was also commissioned in her honor. Celebrating Valerie Rodway, composer and cultural icon.
Thank you very much, Miss Francis, for teaching us about Ms. Rodway. See, folks, you learn things on here. You learn things. Not just politics and TV and scandal. Nah. All right, it's now 18 minutes after the hour. Let's take our first little break, and then we will return with the National Report.
I'm always on the move. Training, traveling, competing. So it's good to know I have Core Bank in the palm of my hand.
Introducing e-banking, one of many customer convenience services from Grenada Cooperative Bank, and there's more to come.
It's swift, simple, and secure.
Inspection and licensing have begun, and at Hubbard's we want you to be ready. From January to February 15th, we're offering vehicle owners with single registration letters 1 to 2,500 and plural registration letters 1 to 250, 10% off our new torque tires and Power Max batteries. Don't get caught unprepared. Visit us today at our motor department in Mungay or our tire bay in Grandance, located near Hubbard's Building Supplies.
Together with you, our customers, we energize our community.
Together with you, we energize our economy. We are working together to give our nation a better tomorrow.
With you, we energize our future. Together, we energize our nation.
Thank you for partnering with us as we energize our Spice Island.
GRENLEG, energizing our Grenada.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try the sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Grenada hailed yet again for structural adjustment reform. Details to this story and more in the National Report. With the details to the news for Tuesday, February 11th, I am Leslie Ann Johnson. Grenada has again been recognized for significant improvements in its overall economic activity following implementation of its structural reform program. During the annual meeting of the Caribbean Development Bank on Tuesday, the bank's Director of Economics, Dr. Justin Ram, singled out Grenada for being able to significantly reduce its debt-to-GDP ratio as a result of belt-tightening measures.
There have only been a few countries in the Caribbean that have recently implemented significant fiscal reforms, structural reforms as well. And I can say to you that the countries that have done that, the majority of them have seen improvements in their overall economic activity. Take, for example, Grenada. When Grenada began its homegrown adjustment program a few years ago, it had a debt-to-GDP ratio in excess of 100%. Today, I'm happy to report that that debt-to-GDP ratio is below 60%. This is 10 years ahead of the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union's target of when they should have achieved this target, which there's that target that has been set by 2030.
Grenada's Premier Athletic Championship is returning, but under new sponsorship. A press launch was held on Tuesday to announce the launch of the 3-day Republic Bank Inter-Secondary Schools Athletics Championship, or Intercol, which will take place on March 31st and April 1st and 2nd. For more than 38 years, the games were held under the title sponsorship of Scotiabank, which was acquired by Republic Bank just over 3 months ago. Mr. Keith Johnson, Managing Director of Republic Bank, says this is a new beginning of a partnership between Republic Bank and Intercol.
But we're very pleased to host this first ever Republic Bank Inter-Secondary Schools Athletic Championships, fondly referred to as Intercol. As has been said before, Republic Bank boasts an enviable track record of support in the area of youth development through sports. And the Intercol Games is a huge addition to the illustrious list of sporting activities supported by the bank, such as the Right Start Youth Football Tournament, the Right Start Under-19 Inter-Parish Cricket Tournament, and the National Learn to Swim Week, just to name a few.
Mr. Kevin Andel, the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Human Resource Development, Religious Affairs and Information, says government values the place that Intercol has in the lives and fabric of the Grenadian society.
Our students, through the Intercol and other sporting activities, better the economic status. And we have many examples. We can just think of one, Guyanese. But not only better in his economic status, but also because he became an ambassador for our country. The mileage that we have gained from Guyanese James' exploit, we cannot pay for that. but remember vividly the humble days of Intercol when Kirani showcased his talent. Also, the Intercol and what it provides has also created an opportunity for scouts to see our talents. And some of our students through Intercol and the exhibition, through that event, is the only opportunity for higher education.
And the chairman of the Grenada Association of Secondary School Principals, Mr. Dominic Jeremiah, says coverage for athletes is currently a significant talking point.
One way to ensure the care and development of our athletes is not only about managing the number of events that they participate in, but it's also about ensuring that they have coverage. And we are pleased to announce that for the first time in the history of the Games, we are negotiating coverage for our athletes.
This is the National Report. More news after the break.
Kayak Mass 2020. February 15th to February 25th. An array of events making one spectacular carnival. Saturday, February 15th. Children Mass, Frolic, and the Big Show. Thursday, February 20th. Queen Show Night. February 21st. Soca Monarch. Saturday, 22nd. Jab Convention. Calypso and Groovy. Sunday, February 23rd. Monday, Juve and Monday Night Mass. Tuesday, February 25th. Shakespeare Mass. And the Last Lap. All the major MCs and DJs will be inside Kayak Mass 2020. Make reservations and book now.
Continuing the news, the Ministry of Health says while there is no evidence that the coronavirus is in the region, systems have been put in place for testing. Acting Chief Medical Officer Dr. Francis Martin says CARPHA, the Caribbean Public Health Agency, now has the ability to test for the virus.
We have swabs that we're able to use to get samples, and CARPHA is able to test. So Grenada will be using CARPHA for the testing of coronavirus, and this can happen right now as we speak, and that's a plus for us. As with many of our smaller islands, turnaround time has to do with travel. That's really what it is, because it takes a couple hours to actually do the test. So our focus is how efficient is our shipping and receiving the samples. CARPHA confirmed to us that in a couple hours they can give us a result. And if there's a need for confirmation, well, there's some other DNA typing that they may do if they get a positive test. That might take another 2 days. But in terms of the positive test, in a few hours the result is available.
Health Minister, the Honorable Nicholas Steele, says CARICOM health ministers have also put systems in place to ensure efficiency in transport of tests once the need arises.
We have confirmed through all of the various ports, i.e. all of the airports, that the tests will be allowed to transit through on LIAT or Caribbean Airways or any other method, and also that there is a backup of RSS. That RSS logistically will be assisting as well regional security services with their aircraft if necessary.
Meanwhile, the head of the Epidemiological and Surveillance Units, Dr. Sean Charles, says passengers arriving on flights with those who have been quarantined are not at risk if those individuals have no exhibited symptoms.
The disease is transmitted by respiratory droplets that are expelled or ejected when someone coughs and sneezes and so on. Someone who is asymptomatic, they have no cough, they're not sneezing on anyone. The mere fact that they're breathing the same air with you does not mean that you are at risk of getting the disease. All right, the disease is transmitted by respiratory droplets that are produced and expelled when someone coughs and sneezes or so. So if someone does not have these signs and symptoms, then they will not transmit the disease.
Grenada is being represented at the World Bank's International Development Association IDA high-level meeting with the Eastern Caribbean, which is taking place in Miami this week. Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, and Minister for Climate Resilience and the Environment, Senator Simon Steele, are among government representatives from the Eastern Caribbean attending the meeting, along with representatives from the World Bank. The high-level dialogue is intended to discuss strategic priorities in preparation for the utilization of IDA resources from July 2020 to June 2023. Blue economy and renewable energy are particular areas of focus for the meeting. According to the invitation letter from the World Bank, and I quote, "The purpose is to have an evidence-based dialogue, reach a joint understanding on the state of play in these areas, and access the potential for future IDA 19 supported engagement and development results," unquote. IDA 19 resources for Grenada, Dominica, St. Lucia, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines are estimated at $350 million. Under IDA 18, Grenada benefited from $74 million that supported government's resilience building and digital transformation agendas and other strategic areas. The IDA resources were in the form of 2 policy-based loans, valued at $50 million to support climate resilience and fiscal sustainability, $15 million for digital governance for resilience project, $6 million for a regional health project, and $3 million in additional support for CASIP project. And finally, Grenada has won the quartz reading competition. Melody Garrett from Mount Rose SDA triumphed over her regional colleagues in the final in St. Lucia on Tuesday. Her winning prizes include a check valued at $5,000, a trophy, and a laptop. And that's the National Report. I'm Leslie Ann Johnson.
Let me first of all say congratulations to that little youngster, Melody. Oh my goodness, cute little young lady. And not a bad haul. She's picked up 5,000 boners cash, a laptop, and the trophy. Which one do you think she would appreciate most? I dare say the laptop. Congratulations, young lady. Got a bright future ahead of you. Let me take a quick look here and see what's been going on here. Ryan says, love her, smart woman. Yeah. Let's see. Margaret Francis says, Ryan, education about transmission is so key in this case, especially with all the false info and hysteria being fueled out there. Mags is referring to the coronavirus. Ray and I are he doesn't know this yet, but we're going to talk a little bit about that because I've been hearing some things that just don't jive. But I agree with you, Mags. There's a lot of unnecessary hysteria out there, and sadly, some people seem to have fun spreading that hysteria. It's really, really pathetic. Okay. I haven't seen Mr. Roberts yet, but he did tell me last night. He's coming here this morning. It's 26 minutes before the hour, and you can check for yourself and see. And let me show you. See, it's 9:34, coming up on 9:35. Break time, and hopefully by the time we get through with this, Mr. Roberts will be saddled up, ready to go.
located in the Grand Shopping Center. For over 40 years, Food Fair has provided quality service at affordable prices. Now, grocery shopping is made easier and more convenient from the Food Fair web store.
Hey, babe. Listen, I need you to go down to Food Fair to get some groceries.
All right, no problem. Right away.
Thanks, babe. What are you doing? You're supposed to be going Food Fair to get a grocery, man.
I am, but didn't you know you can order your groceries online from the Food Fair web store?
Are you serious?
Of course. All you have to do is just to log on to www.foodfair.gd with credit card in hand, and with an order of $100 or more, Food Fair Guyanese will deliver up to 3 miles away. And you don't even have to worry about your information, you know. Their safety measures are excellent.
So hold on. You just order online and Food Fair will deliver to you?
Yep.
Oh, baby, better hurry up and order, man.
I already did. They should be here any minute now.
Enjoy easy online shopping anytime from your home or office from the Food Fair web store. Food Fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets.
Neighbor, here's the bill I asked you to pay for me. How did you get your electricity bill to be so low? For one, we size our transformers just for what we need. And we unplug transformers, chargers and other devices when they're not in use. We also replaced our light bulbs with LEDs. They burn less energy, right? Much less. I even replaced the seal on my refrigerator door to keep the cold air in. And Grenlec is always advising us not to open the fridge too often. That's right. And my family washes and irons in bulk. With fuel prices changing all the time, how do you know if it is working? We pay attention to the usage history table. Over time, our average usage has decreased. So while Grenada can't control fuel prices, I can conserve energy and save money.
Grenlec, energizing our Grenada.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try their sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Yeah, man, take a look. There he is. There he is, Mr. Roberts. He was just putting me to the test and making me wet my diapers again this morning. Oh, where's Ray? Where's Ray? Where's Ray? Good morning, sir. How are you?
Morning, George. The thing is, I'm actually most times outside your front gate. Either making a last check on the cell phone, the WhatsApp or what have you.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think I, whatever, calculated that your GIS news would come at 9:30.
No, the GIS usually ends
right
about 9:30.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I hop upstairs just around when I believe it's over. So now that I know I have to be a little more punctual, I will not hesitate. Get into the car, drop, and straight up the step.
Well, good to see you, sir. So tell me now, what's going on?
Well, I don't know of anything exceptional except that there's a greater awareness among people. You know, you go along the streets, people seem to be more and more particular about the environment they're in, read the coronavirus.
Yeah.
And that is understood. And I think the technology, particularly WhatsApp, has served a very useful purpose because the circulation is great. Just about, I mean, you get dozens of messages, and I would say 60–70% of them either with some aspect of the coronavirus treatment, how you should treat with your health and so forth. So I think there's a fair amount of
it's getting out there.
Yeah, I think there's a fair amount of awareness here.
You know, boy, this thing, Ray, we've been discussing for the past week or so, the fact that, you know, there are people out there who are really, I don't know if it's fair to say that they're blowing this thing out of proportion, because it's a large proportion, you know, but when you take a look at the numbers, right now I think the number of fatalities in China alone, up to 1,115 people.
Right.
It's a lot of people. And something like almost 43,000 people infected. Fortunately, there have only been 2 deaths outside of China.
Well, events like this, I don't mind it's being blown out of proportion, because when it is kept secret, the danger is greater. I'm happy to see people who normally may not take an interest in some of these things, because it's not in Grenada, it's far apart, but then it can get here very easily because of the global world we're in. So for me, you know, you go to the beach and you hear, you know, people who are doing simple things are aware of it. So to me, it helps the country, and it creates a state where our health system perhaps is a little better off, in the sense that people are doing the things that you ask them to do. Wash your hands regular, try to avoid crowds. You know, you're not going to scorn anybody, but if there's a sense of a cold, you know, be aware of it. I think for me, I am not burdened by it. Actually, I'm not burdened. I try to read as much as possible, not everything, but I like the sense that there's that kind of awareness. And I would hope that not just events like, which is perhaps tragic, but I would hope we can, I mean, the state of our country, the state of our governance, many other issues, I would hope that treatment like that kind of awareness, that's what I'm talking about, people being conscious of it, I would hope would get that same level of attraction.
You know, one of the things they've been telling people to do is keep your hand away from your face.
Right.
Right. And yesterday, Pele Darbo kept on reminding, keep your hand away from your face. And because I have a tendency to.
That's what I do. I can't keep my hand away from here. When I'm listening, I listen. So
keep your hand away from the face.
It's impossible. Everything I do, it seems that it starts here. I have to put my hand somewhere around here. But it's, as I said, it's good awareness, and I would hope that we can see that consciousness among children in large numbers, because that's where perhaps challenge, you know, in schools it's clustered, you sneeze or whatever it is, and it could be catched easily and spread. So that kind of awareness doesn't hurt Grenada, actually.
Yeah. What does hurt Grenada immensely is the sensationalism that's being put out there. Some people are just going overboard. You know?
Well, you just got to live with them, George.
Yeah.
They wouldn't go away.
Yeah. Ray, there's something I want you to reconcile for me. Did you see, I think it was the post-cabinet briefing this week?
I listened to a bit yesterday. Minister Steele and Dr. Martin and and Sean, Dr. Sean, or whatever it is. Yeah. Well, I didn't hear the whole thing, so
all right, you know, there's something that has me puzzled, and I'm going to try and read this here because I want to be pretty accurate. I was reading on CNN and other outlets where the Director General of the World Health Organization, please forgive me, I'm going to try and pronounce this guy's name properly, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, yes. He says, and I quote, with 99% of cases in China, this remains very much a cause for concern. Hold on a sec here. Hold on. Yeah. This remains very much an emergency for that country, but one that holds, and I quote here, very grave concern, a very grave threat for the rest of the world. This is the Director General of the WHO. You watch our administration on television, And they're trying to tell you, yes, you know, it's a serious matter, but well, no big deal. No. And then you hear figures like 1,115 dead, 42,700 infected. How do you reconcile what the WHO is saying and what our government is telling us? Who do you believe?
Well, I heard the piece from the gentleman who heads the WHO, and you know, he spoke about a spark of fire if we are not careful around the world, because it could explode, and countries' health system that are maybe not up to scratch as first world are going to be the ones who are most affected. In fact, he even spoke about Congo and how the government, in particular the president, have been very responsive to WHO. I would assume that the minister and the government may be trying to, you know, keep a normal life. When I say a normal life, don't get people too carried away and believing that, you know, you just have to focus a whole day rather than do your jobs and do what you have to do. So I think it may be just to quell, you know, people's emotion. That's all I could think about.
Ray, one thing they did was they came down on the people who are causing the hysteria out there, and I admire them for that. Okay, they spoke out about that. But Ray, as a government, you need to be honest and accurate with the Grenadian people. Don't tell me you're trying to calm down. Please, Ray, please, please, please.
That's what I could think about, because clearly the minister said, well, the little bit I heard, he said they had conferences, CAFA had conferences, and the cost was, in fact, not zero, but reduced because of the technology. They didn't have to travel. And I heard Dr. Martin says that they are very much following the directives of WHO. So those are the parts that I heard, and I guess, you know, you can't fault them for that. But again, I would say to you that I agree that we have to be honest brokers. We can't really treat this thing as, you know, something that's going to happen elsewhere and not in Grenada. I mean, we have people, in fact, I think I heard him say that, the students, some of the students are going back to China. And
the ones who came here?
Yeah, they are going back. He said that they were going to meet with parents, was it yesterday or today, because they have some assurances from the Chinese that they will be well looked after. And, you know, I suspect, in fact, he mentioned one who was vacationing in the Philippines, and who he said that one was prepared to go back, because the problem was not in the province or the city where he's attending a university. And that's what I picked up after that. I think I packed up the car and went somewhere else.
You know, one really bright ray of hope about this is that there seems to be a slight decline in the number
Yes, I think
of
I heard
cases.
that WHO said something like that. Yeah.
And that's very, very encouraging. Margaret said, where's it here? Margaret says, that's quite right, Ray. The concern is about those parts of the world where robust health systems do not exist. And John Franco says, that's an oxymoron, an honest politician. Ray ain't no politician.
Well, let's put it this way. Sometimes you ask yourself the question, what is there to hide? Because it's going to come out. What is there to hide? You can hide it from maybe those who are converts to your belief, but the wider society going to at some point recognize there's a crack and things are missing. So you may as well begin to spill it from the very start. I mean, I could understand that some things you would want not to create, if not hysteria, but some form of panic. But I always think that it's perhaps in our interest as a small nation to have facts rather than to have rumors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, there are a lot of people who have been down on the Chinese about their supposed secrecy. You know, people say you can't believe anything that the Chinese say and so on and so forth. But look, I mean, it's Chinese who've been putting out the information that over 1,100 people are now gone. So are you telling me that, well, it ain't 1,100, it's probably like 2,200? Yeah? I don't know. I'm not going to blame the Chinese because I really do believe that they're making the very best effort they can to curtail this thing. There are a lot of people out there who will disagree with me. In fact, I saw a piece on the internet a couple of days ago where it was alleged that this virus was deliberately created as a form of warfare. And these people were dead serious. Yeah?
That could be possible too.
It could be possible, but I don't have any proof.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you it was said.
Well, we got to live in the world and perhaps hope for the best. Perhaps man at some point will destroy himself or will destroy mankind. I don't know if that's possible. But so many things are happening that sometimes you just have to remain positive with what you believe in.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Trade Unionist. Now, let's shift gears here for just a wee bit.
Right.
I hear the teachers say, hey, listen, we want money. No conditions attached. We want money. Talk to me, Nari.
Well, I would say I met some of the teachers yesterday because the Chamber of Commerce windball tournament started yesterday.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Wonderful opening, nice crowd, very nice atmosphere. M&N defending champions.
Who are the defending champions?
M&N.
M&N?
Yeah, Rodway. They began on a winning note. They defeated Grenada. There was a win for Port Charity. Port Charity defeated Grenada. And who was the other winner? Somebody beat Teachers. It will come to be in a moment. Good opening. Dodgy Docks won the March Pass. Huggins came second, and Police Central came third. So I think I mentioned all the significant points. So when I get there during the next round of matches, I don't want anybody to remind me that you didn't say everything. Right. Yes, George, that from the very start was a very foolish. Sometimes I question, lawyers and people in that area. I mean, you look at a piece of trash, some of it actually trash. I mean, how could you tell a trade union about how to treat with extreme form of industrial action? It's in the law, unless you go to Parliament. But you can't write that and put that in an agreement. You can do like Nancy Pelosi. Sign it and tear it up in front of the Prime Minister or the Minister of Education or the Attorney General. Because I looked at what was published. I don't know if it's the real thing, but I trust that the source it came from, he normally has the real thing. And there's nothing there that make any useful sense. Listen, George, the teacher's ordinance speaks to ethics, speaks to behavior. The government formulating this thing means nothing. The teachers are always going to be guided by the ordinance of 2002. The Industrial Relations Act, which has a section for both employers and workers, that's where, those are the tools. What was written there to me, and I could understand it because your friend just talked about politicians. It was perhaps designed to create this charade that the government is tough. Yes, it has buckled and it is repaying the teachers, but look, they're showing strength. You don't do it again. If you do it again, George, you just signed to that. Here are the consequences. So to me, that was what was, that agreement was designed. Tell Miss Lucen, drop your keys. And you do not give the public the information that you are paying her to drop the keys, because she's asking that you pay off whatever the charges are, the lawyer's fee and whatever the court procedure is in withdrawing a case. So there are some costs. So you cover up all of these and you present a document that the teachers are going to be disciplined the next time they do whatever it is. And a future document is coming which will curtail all these actions. I mean, how stupid that is. Teachers are among the brightest people in our society. They have to read because generally to prepare their class or they go through the text. So unlike a busy, maybe construction worker who has to focus on the hours and getting the work done, the teachers have time to prepare. So I couldn't see that going anywhere. In fact, in a joke yesterday, I told him, why don't you take the $500 ex gratia and make a party and call a press conference and tear up the document so that everybody can see? Because it doesn't make any intelligent sense, George. I mean, to get a divorce, you could divorce in the road, but it doesn't take effect. You have to do it the proper way. So that document, prepared by whoever it was, legal minds, just joining in a charade. That's what it is.
So that's another questionable document that's making the rounds now, because I don't know whether or not you heard Alan this past week. You heard Alan on Greenland?
Yeah, the Greenland one again.
Come on. The Public Utilities Regulatory Commission. You ever heard about it?
Yes, when I was in Parliament. I remember we had a massive debate there.
Well, they put out some documents to try and obtain some public comment, okay? And apparently one of the things in those documents is that government is saying that, the private shareholders in Grenada will be required to turn over their shares to the government of Grenada at no charge. Okay. Take Alan to catch that one, eh? Take Alan.
He spends time reading.
And let me tell you,
he's well read.
Huh?
He's well read.
He's well read, and he went ballistic. He went ballistic so much. So this was last Thursday, and I played it again on Sunday morning. Yeah,
it's up on the site.
Yeah, it's up on the site.
I'll go listen.
Yeah. Asking, not asking, but telling the people you're going to have to give up your shares in Grenada to the government.
So he's selling it.
That's my interpretation, huh?
He's selling it to the Chinese. His government can't buy anything.
I don't know.
No, the government can't. I mean, let's face the fact. You're doing well because you're selling passport, helter skelter. At some point, saturation is going to be in the market. Construction is not always going to be booming. So, in fact, the cruise ships, if that coronavirus continues the way it is, cruise ships going to have a problem. In Japan, how many cruise ship is there?
I think 175 people on that cruise ship now.
That's correct. Right, and we just had one cancellation in Barbados, Grenada, several other territories, Trinidad and Tobago.
By the way, I see 3 ships in here today.
Right. So, and according to Minister Steele, if 2% of that cruise ship passenger is, they got a virus challenge, then the ship can't land. So, we have to be careful. But I don't know, as I say, why are we pursuing this Grenada thing? I mean, I am not going to be, if you look back in times, perhaps we mismanaged the electricity company, so we were forced to sell it. But the people have done a very good job. I mean, they are one of the best, I would think, businesses in Grenada. Whether we like it or not, they have done a lot of genuine community projects that others have not done. They have been an integral part of the Grenada development. I mean, let me just go to the beating event. That was started by the media workers. Michael Bascom was the president, I was the secretary. And Pili Dabo, he knows he was the one who got the sponsor. Mr. Waddle was the manager. We weren't able to continue it. Grenada pick it up and make it such a huge thing. I mean, community playing fields, they do what they light a couple. They have done so many wonderful things that the state by itself, I don't know the state has the money to do these things. So why are we fighting a bitter war that doesn't make any intelligent sense? It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. So I'm glad there are people like Mr. Bezinski around who spend time reading and is not carried away by what is the culture, what is a growing culture in Grenada today, bribery. It's a growing culture today. Initiated by government. I mean, the teachers $500 ex gratia. I mean, I am surprised that the chamber and others didn't speak. I mean, are we going to encourage this thing? If you're in strike, you get $500. Well, workers are getting smarter. They know that clearly, whether we like it or not, your best friend, if you're a worker, is the trade union. Yeah. Never the government, never the employer. The legislation, I know people who never liked it, but when they got in trouble, they were quick to pick up the labor code and recognize that if you're unceremoniously dismissed and you make, what, 15 years, you get, I think it's a month pay for every year. Yeah. With all the labor unions, that would never have been there. So let's not get lost, and I trust that government would focus on more things that can make us a better people.
It makes you wonder about the people who write these policies, these agreements, these whatever. Yeah. You were pointing out a little while ago about one, and I just mentioned the one Alan brought up with Grenada. All right, Ray. A couple other things here. Just let me digress for a minute here. Margaret says, it is possible that it is biological warfare, but that is neither here nor there now. She says the fact is, it's here, and we have to deal with it.
Correct. You can't ignore it.
You're so logical, Margaret. Yeah. John Franco says, it is the plan of those who rule that there's a need to get rid of half of the world's population. And what a better way than to start wars?
Well, is it Thomas Malthus said that there's only way you could bring that equilibrium, that balance in the world, is the Black Plague took care of that centuries ago. So perhaps maybe there is a need for some balance. Yeah, I trust that that wouldn't be the case, but we would find a way to provide food and shelter and all the necessities for all our people. But I've heard that, I've read that in history that the Black Plague did just that, was able to wipe out a significant number of people. Well, Europe and let's hope it doesn't happen again.
Yeah. All right, Ray, before we pull the curtain down, there's one thing here I want to mention. You know, there was a time when I used to read out the cruise ship schedule to let people know what's coming. Because having worked in the industry for 13 years, I know the importance to people who, especially those who live out in the rural areas like, you know, Sateres and places like that, they have to spend their hard-earned pennies, jump on a bus and come down here when the ships are coming. If a ship doesn't come, it's wasted money. Yeah. All right. Well, you know, I have here, and I'm looking at it, this is the latest schedule from the Grenada Tourism Authority, which was sent to me just this past week. Great. All right. It says here, February 12th, which is today, the Aida Perla will be in here with 4,350, a capacity of 4,350 people, okay? And yes, the Aida Pearl is here. That's the only ship listed on the schedule. Ray, go on my balcony, you take a look down there, Burns Point. You'll see that there's another cruise ship in there. Tied up next to the Aida Perla, you'll see another ship out there. By the way, this one out here, it's one of those four-masted schooners.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but I suspect that it might be the Royal Clipper. I suspect, okay? These two ships are not listed there. The Grenada Tourism Authority sometimes gives you excuses. Well, these are last-minute changes.
Okay.
Bullwinkle. Because let me tell you, if a cruise ship is not going to show up here, they don't just wait until 8 o'clock in the morning when they're supposed to be here to tell you, we ain't coming. They know that they're not going to make it, and they tell you. Why doesn't the Tourism Authority put that information out? You know, people taking bus to come downtown and no boat. And by the way, something I thought really funny, you remember all the brouhaha about that plane that landed here between 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning? Well, get this. Cruise ships usually come in here. They're usually scheduled to arrive here at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. Occasionally, you might see one showing up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon or whatever. This morning, as I was about to go to bed, somewhere between 2 and 3 o'clock, I saw the Clipper tied up down at Melville Street. I said, oh my God, I hope that people aren't going to say how many hundreds of Chinese arrived in the dead of night. You know,
the Chinese are taking a beating, huh? The Chinese are taking a beating.
They're taking a beating. Yeah. They're taking a beating. A lot of it could be avoided, you know, because of the way that we're being treated. And so you talk about beating. Only yesterday morning I showed a video on here, which caused a bit of a stir. In Kenya, I think it was. There's a video that went viral showing a Chinese manager whipping, beating a local employee, a Kenyan employee, for showing up late. You saw that? It's on, yeah. Put the guy on for showing up late. You beat the daylights out of this guy.
Well, remember they have a culture that is rigid. It's not.
You're absolutely correct, and you know it may work fine for them, but I suspect that because of the difference in that culture and ours,
that's correct.
This is why people are fearful.
That's correct, and it is something that's going to be there for a very long time.
Yeah,
I mean, sometimes I hear them make comments, and I say, Lord, I wish we didn't have that in us.
Yeah,
because really and truly, it is not based on information. It is based on just your imagination.
Yeah.
All
right, Putna.
Good, my brother. Good to be with you for another day in God's world.
Did you get your license?
Yes, yesterday I finally sorted out. I gave a guy a drop. He was going up the lane and I said, oh Lord, the 15th is going to be what, Friday or Saturday? Yeah, and that's when it expires. He said, man, pack up here, I'm going to fix it up for you. Went into his house and get whatever it is. And within 3 minutes, 5 minutes, came out with some spirit. So I'm good to go, man. After paying 3 weeks ago.
Well, listen, Sharon is so happy because she's happy that you had to switch. So that today, she's gone to get her license.
She's going to be in a crowd.
She's going to be in a crowd.
I saw a piece on Facebook, and they were complaining. But again, George, it goes back to our culture. The line is long, George.
Yeah.
The inspection line, it's not short. And the person was complaining that, look, how do I maintain that level of productivity when all it takes is to put a few more police officers to have this thing done? Right.
Bradley Vespre says, George, when in Rome, you do as the Romans do.
Yes, that's for sure.
And Margaret refers to this as, okay, hold on. Margaret says, them damn Kenyans too stupid. Max, it's S-T-U-P-I-D, girl, not stupid. She can cook, but she can't spell it.
Well, to get licked, she may be right to see it in that too.
She says those two Chinese heads should have been on a flagpole. Who else is here? Who else is here? She says community justice. All right, Ray, I think that's going to do it for us.
Good, George. Good to be with you. Have a good day and all that is best.
Thanks for being there for us. And we're going to take a little break, and we'll come on back right after this.
One more on the road. Look, I find you had a little too much to drink, you know. Let me drive. Nah, man, I good.
Alcohol causes drowsiness, slow response time, distorted vision, impaired decision-making, blackouts, decreased coordination. Drinking water does not make you less drunk. Never drink and drive. It takes only a second.
Look, I'm really, really sorry.
Sorry? Sorry can't bring back my sister. You've been drinking. I can smell it. Why?
This message is brought to you by this group of insurance companies, the Traffic Advisory Body, and the Traffic Department.
Grenada, 1795. One man with a sense of destiny.
Tonight we stand our ground. Tonight we stand on the side of history.
14,000 slaves with a dream and a promise. Julian Fedor, a Heritage Theatre production, written and directed by Chris DeRiggs, 28th and 29th March, 4th and 5th April at the Trade Center.
People was not made to live like this. It's like we have a cause.
Julian Fedor, an action-packed historical drama.
I see blood falling from the sky, filling up that mountain river, flowing from Belvedere Hills. I see blood.
4 big nights of theater, the play the nation has been waiting to see, with Samuel Gilvey, Lisa Grappy-James, Robert White, Dale Devine, and other top-of-the-line acting talents. Opening Saturday, 28th March. Get your tickets now.
Alrighty, folks, time now to pull the curtain down, but not without a parting word from the Holy Scriptures. Today's reading comes to you from the book of Proverbs, chapter 28, verses 8 to 12. Whoever increases his wealth by taking interest or profit from the poor amasses it for another, who will be kind to the poor. If anyone turns a deaf ear to my instruction, even their prayers are detestable. Whoever leads the upright along an evil path will fall into their own trap, but the blameless will receive a good inheritance. The rich are wise in their own eyes, one who is poor and discerning sees how deluded they are. When the righteous triumph, there is great elation. But when the wicked rise to power, people go into hiding. Whoever conceals their sins does not prosper, but the one who confesses and renounces them finds mercy. Take those words to heart, my friends. Proverbs 28, verses 8 to 12. And on that note, Georgie Porgy's going to say thanks to Ray, and thanks to the GIS, and thanks to you out there for keeping me company on this Wednesday morning, middle of the week. You'll enjoy the rest of the week. And by God's grace, we shall see you again tomorrow morning at 9:00. God bless you, folks.